this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Alright, well, it's another... Ooh, tugged on the computer there a little bit. Well, it's another night session. So, we got the stuff. Let's do the stuff. Come on. Maybe you can already tell by the title, but we're gonna keep things brief, because we got a video to get into. But, you know, just to cover some of the stuff that we do here. So, I'm working on the Morel Sonatina. You know the drill. And I'm also working on the Bach, BWV 997. I have the Saraband, not down, but like, I can play through it. So I'm just gonna move on to probably the Prelude next, I guess. I'm just gonna go through that whole thing. And then, like I mentioned, I think we're gonna find out what John Williams thinks of Segovia. Kinda left it on a cliffhanger last time. So yeah, that'll be pretty interesting. I'm keeping it brief. We're just gonna go. Go, go, go. I'll see you at the piano bench. A button came off of my piano bench. Well, I'm going to briefly go into scales today, and then we're just going right into Morel movement 2. I'm not going to waste any time with the other movements. I'm going to start off with movement 2. I will see you on the other side. Okay, let me bring you closer and I'll explain. I worked a lot on the Morel Sonatina second movement, and that's, you know, that's being learned. I'm on the final section of it now, which is good. But I'm not going to play that for you. I know that last time I played the first movement, but I watched it today because I was editing the video. The tickler, stupid idea. It's just not fast enough. And I know that I said that the first movement doesn't have to be fast, but man, when you rip through it, it just feels so good. In these night sessions, I am going to put a considerable amount of time every single time, like maybe like up to an hour, just working on that first page, changing the rhythm, because it's all triples, right? Instead of doing it like that, I'm gonna go... So, dee da da dee da da, and then do do dee do do dee do do dee. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play the first page 3 times. The first 2 times with both of those different rhythms. And essentially the idea is I'll be able to play it up to speed with the rhythm. So there's the first one. So there are moments in there where I'm playing up to speed, but it gives me time to just set my fingers up and put it in the right place and everything. It's this. That right there is what I need to get faster. That's like the main problem. It's a little sloppy. This is the other one. Then, the speed that I want. Yeah, you get the idea. That is the speed that I would want to play it at, and I think that the key to getting there is going to be from separating those rhythms out. I've been practicing it slower than what I just showed you, but I don't know. It's not going to get faster by me just playing it fast with the same rhythm over and over again. It just isn't. I'm going to do this until, I don't know, like at least a month, and we'll see what the improvement is. But honestly, it feels like it actually like primes my hands to play it. Like I feel like even playing it fast, like it was sloppy, but it was better than going into it without doing those first. I do believe that I can get it that fast. David Russell fast. It's just going to take a lot of work. You know, that's what we got right now. I'll avoid playing it for you for a while, and we'll see where it's at. Okay, cool. Well, we can go ahead and wrap this part up. So, we have some John Williams juiciness to get into. Let's make our way to the computer, shall we? This needs to go to the meme folder. The two lovebirds here. I will be saving that. Well, so I left off with a cliffhanger last time. John Williams is gonna talk smack on Segovia. You guys ready for this?
And I remember I played a couple of pieces. And he said, oh, you must come to Siena in Italy, where I teach at a summer school.
Ooh, you gotta take summer school. That's how bad I thought you were. That's like summer school's bad, right? I'm being stupid.
Next year. Because I was only 11 or 12 at the time.
Man, dude, John Williams is so tall. Now they're doing him favors. Look at this.
Go next year.
He's a giant, dude.
At the time.
Gotta pan up.
Be a sort of semicircle of people, and someone would be sitting in front of him, playing. Looking back,
there he is.
And even at the time, I can see that I was aware that I've never really played what I thought was my best. I mean, if I was practicing at home, I used to sort of get into great indulgent sort of fantasies about the piece.
Feel the same way, man. I think everybody feels that way.
An age in childhood and early teens when they go through...
Whoa, is this a group chicane right now?
Unconsciously sort of romantic, poetic sort of feelings which they don't quite know how to express to other people or even on an instrument, but they feel them. And it's important that they come out. And if a teacher can't see that and encourage it, then it's definitely a shortcoming of the teacher. What happened down there? I've always taught. But over the years, I've developed a certain lack of enthusiasm for going through the usual solo guitar repertoire.
I thought he was going to say for teaching.
And sometimes it may be very good, in which case they can do without being taught by me. It sounded like you're playing a different piece. Or students who are not very good, who need to be encouraged to find their own way, not simply to imitate what I do. I've found that this solo repertoire, that it's so cut off from the mainstream of musical development, I feel over the years that trying to change this attitude to the guitar is more important than how good particular people might play a solo piece. Their ability to join in with others and make real music in a musical way, similar to what violinists do. And what I think...
Yeah, we're not violinists, though. That's the thing. There's something to be said about that. Like, trying to... Which, like, keep in mind, I was only, like, half listening to him. I was, like, looking at all the colors and stuff. I feel like that's a thing. Guitarists are always trying to mold themselves into what other musicians are, like, mainly the orchestral instruments, and they kind of see that as, like, the proper everything. No, guitar is, like, its own tradition. I don't think one should try to imitate the other. I kind of have this opinion about like scale practice in school. I do honestly feel that the guitar is set up in such a way where the typical scale practice that you'd see from all the other orchestral instruments, where they practice all 24 keys and they like know them all equally, it's just not necessary on the guitar. Like you just don't really need to do that. I just feel like it's not as useful on the guitar because you can practice one scale and it's played exactly like all the other scales, and like the right hand technique doesn't change. Left hand technique barely changes. Maybe the frets are a little closer together, and that's like the biggest difference. It's not the same as like playing a different scale on flute or a trumpet, like where it's a completely different thing. Guitar is a transposing instrument, so I don't think that extensive scale practice is really that necessary. I still think you need to practice scales just as much as any other instrument. I just think practicing in all 24 keys is kind of overrated and something that we just do because all the other instrumentalists do it. Guitar is its own tradition. It doesn't need to be like anything else. That's all I'm trying to say. There's a lot to say on that. I might keep going. We'll see.
Of Segovia's teaching is that because of the guitar repertoire being very poor, certainly in relation to cello and piano, is that the...
Dude, we just take it. Just take the repertoire. It's fine. That's what we do.
The musical way of playing became focused around a style of playing, his style, which in a way was greater than the music. It had no way of encompassing big view of the music, even when it was there, and the Bach suites were there. Even the better Scarlatti sonatas are quite well developed as pieces of music.
Technical facility is amazing. What I particularly like about him is that he appreciates the composer's work.
Nah, screw that, man. It's all about you.
This ability to actually let the music speak rather than hear his own input.
Ooh, shots fired at Julian Bream and the rest of us, am I right?
And that in itself is a tremendous personality.
Having no personality is a personality. Well, I don't like John Williams for his personality, if you know what I'm saying. I like him for his height.
And that goes into his music making.
I like him for the head nod. Just zoom in on his hairline. Just like, look at this. It's receding.
Scarlatti lived the last 30 years of his life in Spain, and he actually used the harmonies of especially Andalusian music in which to build up his chords. Scarlatti would be basing his harmonies on the tuning of the guitar, which is in fourth. Unlike stringed instruments, which are violin, viola, and cello.
Got to those chords pretty quick, too. He's done that once or twice, that's funny.
And so if he wanted to fatten out a chord, make it bigger, he wouldn't restrict himself to the thirds conventional harmony, which would be that, but he would use the open strings of the guitar, which sort of sounds like wrong notes. It's evolved from the music of Andalusia and southern Spain. You often hear chords like...
Okay, you know what? We've talked enough about Scarlatti. We have a whole discussion thing to talk about now, so I think that is enough. I guess he hasn't really gotten too far into the Segovia. I think I might have been the more controversial one than John Williams. I thought he would have been the one in this one, but he wasn't. So, here we are. I'm ready to go to bed. So, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. That was a pretty fun one. 2 in a row, 2 night sessions, and Morel sonatinas. I'm sorry, I know. But it was an update, so you can't blame me for that. Well, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Hey, want some guitar lessons? Details are in the description, of course. And if you have any questions about anything, or comments about anything I said here, or did, or showed you, feel free to leave them. I'll talk about them in the chair at some point. I'm gonna go to bed. So, I'll see you tomorrow.